Good evening, one and all. Welcome to this week's edition of Beyond 3D. Hopefully everyone is doing well out there and has enjoyed their week. Matt and Clint here with you in the Article P 98.7 studios on the Mornington Peninsula. Clint, how have you been?
I'm great, thank you.
Oh, good.
And can I just say, I don't know, congratulations maybe to the POTUS?
The POTUS?
Senior Orange.
Oh, yes.
What else? What's another name for him?
Oh, my.
He who shall not be named?
Yeah, him, yeah.
The Bloatus.
Bloatus, yeah.
I just want to say congratulations to him for dodging the Vietnam War. For those of you that don't know, Mr. Trump did not go and serve in Vietnam. Mm-hmm. He celebrated himself as a little bit of a hero this week, Matt, didn't he?
On a whole lot of fronts, from what I understand.
Yes, but he didn't go to the front.
Ah, true. The 1960-70 front, a.k.a. known as the Vietnam era of the United States interloping around the world. Oh, well, what can he do? What did he say? Do you remember what the quote was?
I don't know if I should just laugh. I'm not going to laugh. He said that the Cong, so the Vietnam Cong, so this was the president of the United States, Donald Trump, revealed a little-known episode of his personal heroic time from his youth. He was at a rally recently, and he told the Iowa audience that he narrowly avoided capture in Vietnam, Matt. Narrowly, just by the skin of his teeth, avoided capture in Vietnam. By remaining in the United States.
That's the way you do it.
He said that the Cong were after him.
Why? Did he go into why?
And then, just in the nick of time, he got his deferment.
Oh, lovely.
So the Vietnam Cong were after him in America.
The Viet Cong were on his tail.
On his
in
tail,
America.
and he just missed them.
Oh, by that much.
By deferment.
Missed it by that much. As in Maxwell Smart.
It's very brave of him.
Oh, gosh. What a hero.
Very brave of him.
What a hero. And I'll guarantee you he's still making fun of all those people who went to Canada instead of fighting in that war, I'll bet.
I know.
Oh, what a shame. Well, folks, what can you do? That's just the way it works. That's the way the world is these days. There's a lot of really good information out there, and then we have to deal with childishness. I'll put it that way. It's just childlike.
Did you happen to catch Stephen Colbert this week?
I didn't, but I saw a couple of headlines a couple of days ago about it and calling for his head, basically.
Who was calling for whose head?
Oh, right-wing politicians were calling for Colbert's head.
Colbert's head.
Yeah.
I've got... It's like a very, very, very quick little snippet, Matt. Let's just play it, just so that everybody can know what we're laughing at.
Fair enough.
And I think actually I've been very consistent. You know, it's very funny when the fake media goes out, you know, which we call the mainstream media, which sometimes I must say is you. But when the
you
fake...
mean me personally or...
your show. I love your show. I call it Deface the Nation.
Really? Mr. Trump, your presidency, I love your presidency. I call it Disgrace the Nation. You're not the POTUS, you're the bloatus. You're the glutton with the button. You're a regular Gorge Washington. You're the presidents, but you're turning into a real prick-tater. Sir, you attract more skinheads than free Rogaine. You have more people marching against you than cancer. You talk like a sign language gorilla who got hit in the head. In fact, the only thing your mouth is good for is being Vladimir Putin's holster.
And so that was Stephen Colbert, Matt, talking about Vladimir Putin's possible mouth rental.
Oh, Lord have mercy. What can you do?
He's only got a little mouth, Putin, apparently.
Well, little to little.
Little to little.
What can you do?
So just saying.
Gosh. Clint, do you feel it's getting to the point of beyond the ridiculous now?
I think it's got to the point where most of the world have just gone, you know what? Ronald McDonald is running the White House on the surface.
Yeah, it's a shame. It is an absolute shame.
I don't mean to bring McDonald's into disrepute when I say that.
Yeah, well. What can you do? As I said, the interesting thing about that whole kerfuffle, for lack of a better term, is I was reading Zero Hedge.
Okay.
And they had a lovely little blurb talking about for the first time in an extremely long time, China sent a message out through its embassies to the Korean Peninsula.
Hang on a sec, they don't have internet.
Pardon?
China does not allegedly have internet, so how did they send their messages out to the embassies via email?
Oh, they have internet.
I know they do.
Anyway, they sent the message out, and the message stated that they wanted their citizens in North Korea to have an extended stay back home.
Now, does that extended stay mean come back for good?
As in, don't be there right now.
Yeah.
So, be wary of what could possibly happen there. Personally, you have a lot of... we have another election coming up, don't we?
Can I ask, is Trump Titanic arrived in the Korean Peninsula yet?
Not quite yet. The what was it called? The Vinson, or whatever it was, the big aircraft carrier did arrive, and they have set up a missile defense system in South Korea, which has the Russians and the Chinese up in arms, so to speak.
But hang on, is it not on an allied front at the moment? Has not the world turned up there as an allied front?
Yeah, the Russians supposedly have or allegedly have troops at their border with Korea. The Chinese have troops at the border with Korea. You have the 38th parallel, and you have 20-some-odd thousand U.S. troops in South Korea in the demilitarized zone. So they're kind of sort of surrounded. The Japanese are even talking about giving their military, for the first time since World War II, the green light to use weaponry in case.
Isn't it interesting that historical enemies are now historical allies?
It's very interesting how that all worked out. And it still reminds me, and everybody knows it, that the only country to ever drop a nuclear device or an atomic device was the United States of America in war.
And now the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Basically. It's pretty shameful in my opinion. I'm not a fan of war, never have been. But what they're doing right now with the saber rattling and everything like that, I think is just giving people a lot of angst. And that's not what it's supposed to be at all. They need to really look at it. And then to add insult to injury, what else happened this week? Hillary Clinton reared her ugly head again and decided to, for lack of a better term, bitch and moan about the fact that she didn't win the election.
Which Hillary? Because there's plenty of rumor going around that she's got a couple of clone doubles.
Oh, wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, she was...
Hey, you know who'd be happy about that? Bill.
I think he's going to basically keep his mouth shut and stay in the background for a while. So she came out this week and she blamed the FBI Director Comey, and she blamed the Russians for the fact that she lost the election. And part of that is true. The other part is she ran an absolutely lousy campaign, but that's another story.
I'm going to segue for a second.
Yeah.
I listened to a Mandela effect testimony today by a gentleman who his life's been that radically affected by the Mandela effect. At any point he doesn't know which reality he's in, and the only way he can tell is because in the reality that he came from, Hillary Clinton is the president and he has children. And this reality, Donald Trump's the president, and this gentleman has no children. So what happens to this guy is he keeps slipping in and out of two different realities, and the only way he can track it is by making YouTube clips of what's going on in his life. Bluebeard.
Wow.
Look him up on YouTube, Bluebeard. This guy is the real deal, Matt. The conviction that he portrays in the way he retells himself slipping in and out of these realities is mind-blowing.
Wow. I'm going to look that up.
He's got children in one and no children in the other. And half the time when he's stuck here with no children, all he wants to do is go back to his children. So he'll document the fact that I was with, he'll just drop off and disappear for 2 weeks and nobody knows where he's gone. And then he'll come back and say, I was with my kids for these last 2 weeks in the other reality. Amazing vignette.
Wow. That's interesting. I wonder which one is better, Trump or Clinton. I'm going to have to do a little bit of YouTube research and find out what he states.
Is there an option C?
Yeah. Don't know.
You'd want one.
You'd hope. But in this case, in this reality at least, the one that we're talking about here, we have to deal with the fact that you know who is in the White House for now. And it's only for now.
It's only for now.
it won't be that long, and then something else will happen, and everybody will switch again. But we digress for a bit. But anyway, guys, hang in there with us. We will be back in a moment with more Beyond 3D. Beyond 3D. Welcome back this week, guys, to Beyond 3D. Matt and Clint here with you. We are about to go, how shall we say this? What's the word I'm looking for?
Highfalutin.
Yeah, highfalutin. We're going to be high society for a little while, and we're going to allow you guys to hear a bit of waxing philosophic, aka poetry.
Who's the esteemed author?
Let's listen.
I can't play this without laughing. Let's give this a go.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is, the snake. It's called The Snake. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she cried, I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. The border. Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night, and as soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed that vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, oh heavens, you would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed him and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. I have saved you, cried the woman. And you've bitten me, heavens, why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
Welcome back. I was going to say, welcome back to Beyond 3D this week. Now, Matt.
Yes?
Is that not a mirror of what America has done by letting the Trump snake in themselves?
That's exactly what I was about to say. That is exactly... They are the ones who just got bitten. It's amazing.
And the irony is... Mm-hmm. The irony is, he's standing there telling them that to their face,
yeah,
and they're clapping him.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the way it works. Some people, when they make a mistake like that, they don't want to admit it. They can't admit it. It would be admitting defeat, and they would rather die sometimes than admit defeat. Oh, well.
But that's, you know what that's called? That's called Darwin's survival of the fittest.
Yeah, he
because
also
you know what? If you're
like
not going to change,
6th or 7th grade reading.
Yeah, but I said if you're not going to change, if you're not going to evolve, and you're going to stay stagnant and concrete and fixed in your thinking, you will drop off.
Yeah, you will. But some people, look, they will die. They will go to their graves and not have to face it. And then when they get to the other side, they'll find out they got to face it anyway, and they'll keep going through it until they finally acknowledge it. Hopefully they will one day. Yeah, it's pathetic. He literally he was reading about himself.
He's a war hero, don't you know? He's
Absolutely.
a Vietnam War hero.
I agree, but oh well. As I said, I don't like celebrating war in any way, shape, or form. So I don't mind guys that were draft dodgers back in the 60s and the 70s in the United States because they knew the war in Vietnam was just unjust and they didn't want to be bothered.
Trump.
Yeah. I can't fault him if he wanted to stay out of that conflict because I thought the United States basically set the whole thing up for their own selfish purposes. And then they didn't even win it. So you can't blame him for that, but now he's using that to his advantage. And to say that you're a hero. And some of the other things that were going out of Washington this week about Andrew Bastard Jackson, another president of the United States, and all the things that were going on back then are just absolutely abominable. And I believe now what's going to happen is this. We all know that this weekend is the French election. And once again, we will see whether or not this so-called movement, in quotation marks, is going to sweep the Western world and have another Trump-like candidate.
Oh, formidable.
I was going
to say formidable.
So we will see how that goes as well. But yeah, it's getting to the point where I'm the energy I'm starting to feel is people are getting sick of it.
Oh yeah.
Big time. And
what are we at? Day 103?
103, 104,
No, hang on.
105?
105?
Yeah. People are looking at it going, wait a minute. This is just ridiculous. So, but let me put this to you. There is another war.
Oh, there's plenty of wars going on around us.
There's another war going on, but this war is being fought between three main companies. And those companies are Google,
Okay.
or Alphabet, as they call themselves.
A big what?
They call themselves Alphabet.
I've never heard that term.
Oh, Google it.
Okay.
That is the name.
I'll do it tonight when we
That
get
is the
off.
official name of the company now.
I'll do it tonight when we get off air.
The other company is Tesla,
Okay.
and the other company is Apple.
Okay.
And they are at war.
Interesting.
And they are at war over a product.
Wouldn't happen to be some kind of communication device, would it?
No, but it can be. It is necessary for communication devices and other devices, and they're at war over the metal cobalt.
Oh, that makes up the components?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they are fighting a major war over this, and like most good little crazy financiers, there are a few hedge funds out there that have decided that, ooh, we can take advantage of this.
You know in Dune, the movie Dune, when they say he who controls the spice controls space?
Basically, yeah.
Same thing with the cobalt.
Yeah. Right now.
If you control the cobalt, you control the future telecommunication devices.
You're right. He who controls the spice controls the universe.
Thank you.
And the spice navigators, breathing in that spice gas and folding space. Oh, God, I love that movie. I love the books.
It's, how do I say it? It's such an awesome movie, Dune, that while watching it, you can kind of forgive it for some of its special effects.
And Sting.
But you actually you look past that because the content and the message of the film is so amazing.
Just the concept of folding space, I just love it. That and the fact that, what do they always mention in Dune? What are they fighting? Because Frank Herbert used this term, and most of the wars being fought, they were religious wars, and they were jihad. That is the way he described in the books. It was jihad. That was what they were fighting. It was amazing the way he would, the narrative that he wrote was absolutely astounding as far as science fiction is concerned for me.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
We have to take a break.
Ooh. We'll be right back.
Beyond.
333.
Welcome back tonight
Yes, indeed.
to Beyond 3D.
Yeah, so we're having a little bit of a war between some of the biggest companies on planet Earth over the metal cobalt, and there are two main hedge funds, one in Switzerland and one in China, that have decided that they would try to pull a Trading Places Duke and corner the market on cobalt so they could take advantage of the price rise when it comes up. These companies, Apple, Google, Alphabet, and or Tesla, need that metal. They need a source of it. And so they are going to have a pricing war, and finding sources of this material is going to be very important now. One of the major sources is in China. Another major source, toy boat, is in the Korean Peninsula.
Yeah, and we just happen to be going there for war at the moment.
Isn't that interesting?
Do you remember the Iraq War? What did we need at the Iraq War? Oil.
Yeah, Earl. We're in Brooklyn.
Black oil.
Yeah. Now, a very good friend of mine is a commander, or was a commander in the U.S. Navy, and he was the commander of a destroyer in the Persian Gulf, did many tours in Iraq and in Afghanistan, etc. And he sent me a few photos while he was on duty. And one of the photos he sent me, the caption of the picture was what they were actually doing there. And they were guarding the oil wells.
I've read many testimonies of soldiers in Afghanistan guarding the poppy fields.
That as well. And that is what they were over there doing. And anybody thinks it's anything else, you are deluding yourselves.
Can I just bring everybody up to speed? This is not a conspiracy theory. This has been proven time and time again.
Yep.
CIA were running heroin out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And somebody heard that just for the first time then.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
And would have gone, you're off your head. I thought probably just flicked us off, but you know what? It's been proven time and time and time again. The CIA running drugs, money, and guns out of Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah.
To America.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And Mexico. Trump's building a wall to keep the Mexicans out. I don't think the CIA are happy about that, because that's how they get their cash flow.
Yeah, well, what they now said was they want to use El Chapo's money to build the wall. So that'll be funny as well.
Why doesn't Lego donate? I just thought of that then.
That's a very good idea. They could work out a deal with the government.
Here's an idea. Just thought of this then. Let's pull all the plastic out of the ocean, run it through the Lego factory, and build Trump's wall.
There you go.
Out of plastic.
Not a bad idea, quite frankly. I think that would be a good idea. For all you guys that are out there and into investing and everything like that with Cobalt, I will use the typical line. We cannot give financial advice, but there are certain securities you could go and look up yourselves in and around this area of Cobalt if you so desire and want to invest in something like that. There are a few companies out there. You're not going to find out about them from me, because I am not licensed to give that kind of advice.
All you'd need to do is just Google Cobalt.
Basically, it'll come up with the companies for you.
Cobalt mines.
Absolutely. And there are hedge funds out there that are willing to take your money if you want to invest in it with them as well. So that's what's going on with that. Now, being that we're talking a teeny bit about Cobalt, hedge funds, and things like that, I will bring up something we brought up the other week. Bitcoin. Now, it's very simple, really quick. We said last week that Japan had authorized digital currencies. Since that time, Bitcoin has gone from $1,286 per coin to $1,446 per coin in about a week.
I listened to an interview during the week, something to do with Bitcoin, and what pricked my ears up was the grand total that this person was talking about was 500 Bitcoin. And it was a ridiculous amount of money. That was the comparison of 500 Bitcoin. Don't quote me on the figure. It was enough to make me stop and go, that's ridiculous. You could buy a house with that amount of money.
Well, if it's $1,400, call it $1,450 a coin, and you have 500 coins, what would that be? 10 coins, 14,000, 140,000 times 5, about $700,000. In or around there.
Yeah.
You could buy a house with that.
You could buy a house with that.
Yeah, and there are people that have that many coins, and they got them at a heck of a lot lower price than that.
Good luck trying to find a house in a suburb that you want to be in that takes Bitcoin as currency.
Yeah, good luck is right. You'll need it. But there's another cryptocurrency. As we know, we have Apple and iOS. You have a Windows operating system.
Android.
And you have Android operating system. You also have Linux. And Linux has its own open source blockchain goodies going on called Ethereum, and they're approaching $100 per coin as well.
I like the name.
Yeah, I thought you would.
I like that name. That's a great mark. That's
Yeah.
a great. You know what? A good name can be all the difference when it comes to marketing, successful marketing.
Yeah, well, if you consider you
So
can get
what's it called?
14 Ethereum.
Ethereum.
Yeah, as in ETHEREUM.
What's the name of that precious metal in Lord of the Rings that the chainmail's made out of?
Mithril.
Okay, it's kind of... It's nothing like Mithril. I'm just thinking to myself, I couldn't remember Mithril.
There is another one with an eum at the end of it. It'll ultimately come to me. Unobtanium. Wasn't that the one from Avatar? One of those?
Unobtanium, yes.
Something like that?
And then you got Adamantium.
Yeah, there you go. Stand and
Fictitious
deliver.
metals.
Your money or your life. So that's what's going on with a little bit of Bitcoin and the new coin Ethereum, and that's what's financially going on in the world, and all the people that are on this side of the planet and in Asia, be very wary. Another thing that happened that I thought was absolutely abominable was the fact that Duterte from the Philippines was given an invite to visit his compadre in the White House.
I watched on mainstream dinosaur fake news some clips of him just chilling out and doing crosswords or something, and everybody's taking photos of him. He was doing some kind of legit paperwork for his role. He's very laid back. Like, this guy's sitting there in like some kind of Hawaiian shirt.
Yes, he does. He does
bare
that.
feet. And
Yeah.
why does the bloatus, Senior Orange, want to meet him though?
Who does he want to meet? Who does he praise?
He praises people that have something that they can offer him.
Either that or people who he believes are doing something that he has, how would you put it? That he has
In common?
praise for.
In common?
Something that he may want to be able to do with the United States. So he praises Putin, who is an oligarch.
Of course he praises Putin. As we heard
Yeah.
Stephen Colbert say,
Earlier.
Putin gives good service to,
Yes, he does. Yeah,
to Trump.
and everything like that. Now, the other thing that now with Duterte, everybody does. If anyone doesn't know what he has done, just do a little bit of reading. He is known for being quite vile. He is known for being quite arrogant. He insulted the former president of the United States on numerous occasions. He is, by his own admission, a murderer, a rapist, a thief. He is now president of the Philippines, and what he wants to do is he has actually, in his own country, formed death squads that go around killing both drug dealers and drug users. And one of his goals was to have 100,000 drug dealers and users executed during his term. And this is the kind of person that Hair Orange decides he wants brought to the White House because he wants him to visit, and because he believes that the Philippines is a strategic partner in that part of the world, especially with everything going on in the Korean Peninsula. So I thought it was very fascinating that once again he has shocked even his own people by stating that he wants to have this kind of person visit the White House. No other president that I could think of, at least in the last 60 years, would ever entertain even the thought of doing something like that. During the term, Ronald Reagan couldn't stand Gaddafi. He wasn't invited till after he had totally turned another cheek, turned a new leaf, turned the page, and decided to pay back for his so-called crimes against humanity. The same thing with a lot of other leaders. Roosevelt did a lot of soul searching before he actually went into an alliance with Stalin, because he knew what Stalin had done in his own country. It's very difficult, but the current president of the United States seems to want to do this willy-nilly. It's just the way, and I think he actually does it because he knows the kind of reaction he will get from the masses.
I don't think he's that intelligent, Matt, to think that far ahead. Look at his Twitter rampages.
Yeah, and then just look at the fact that he doesn't even know when Andrew Jackson, his favorite president, existed. So what are you going to do? But yeah, it's. I find it absolutely abominable. And the other thing that happens this week, and most people don't know about it, is our own Prime Minister.
Let's get back to that.
He's going to go there as well. Interesting. 3D.
Welcome back tonight to Beyond 3D. Now, Matt. I have no idea what that was.
That was cool.
No, it's an alarm.
Are we a big band?
It's an alarm on my laptop. You were talking about our current Prime Minister.
Yes,
Actually,
Mr. Turnbull, whose name is always being
He's the
pronounced the wrong way.
He's the Australian Prime Minister. He's not my Prime Minister.
All right, the Australian Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, as he used to be called up by Sean Spicer, the press secretary in the United States, is actually going to visit the Donald in New York.
I hope he's got a nice clean tongue when he gets there.
Oh, my lordy. It's a shame that other leaders, heads of state, have to kowtow to these people because they're just some vile people out there right now. So it's very difficult for people to accept what's going on, but you have to. Hopefully, Turnbull will do the right thing by this country and don't accept, at face value, what the guy is going to tell you. Talk to other people and find out what's really going on, because it's almost like a Duterte situation where you have a person that's yelling and screaming out front and the government is still working behind the scenes trying to do the right thing. So you should have some people in Washington that would be able to give you the answers and do the things that need to be done to make sure that the two countries can keep their relationship thriving and going forward, hopefully.
Let's have something positive out of this.
From Turnbull?
No, from me right now.
Go over it.
Science.
Science,
because we're all about science.
There were many marches about science.
Yeah, I know, science is, it's the cool thing at the moment. And it should always be the cool thing. Science has...
Within reason.
Science has uncovered,
Yes,
Matt,
they've uncovered.
the first ever evidence of the multiverse.
Oh, nice.
Nice, I know. A recent study on a space anomaly that has perplexed scientists, Matt, for years, has some suggesting that it could be explained by a parallel bubble universe, although there are other more standard potential explanations as well, but they've come to the conclusion that for years, scientists have been baffled by this weird anomaly that's far away in space. It's some kind of mysterious cold spot. It's about 1.8 billion light years across. It is cooler than its surroundings by around 0.00015 degrees Celsius. And it's a fact that astronomers have discovered by measuring the background radiation through the universe that there is a cold bubble existing out there that has no explanation.
Interesting.
It's a massive supervoid.
A void.
A supervoid.
Have to think about that for a minute.
We don't have a minute to think about that. You think about that on your own time.
Fair enough. I can do that.
Multiverses. So they're calling it they're calling it the first evidence of a multiverse.
Chronicles of Riddick multiverse?
Was that a multiverse? Oh, I understand what you mean by that. Yes, I get that reference.
That kind of...
Yeah.
What was it? Was it the Underverse?
That's the Underverse. We're talking about the multiverse.
Yeah.
But technically an Underverse would be a multiverse.
Yeah, something like... Yeah, it was
because
a
it's
good
an
movie.
alternative reality.
Yes, that I can agree with. They're finally accepting that, aren't they?
They're finally accepting that because they've just found the first little bit of factual evidence for it.
Science and its factual
Which again segues back into what we were talking about earlier tonight with the Mandela effect.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does, because there's a person that can basically give them their so-called experience from multiple universes, and that's very important. I think most of the people out there, if you're lucky enough, it'll ultimately happen to you as well. Most people will experience something similar to a multiverse, and they will look around them. Some people have a very dramatic effect. As in step on a crack, break your mother's back. You ever heard that term?
I used to jump on the cracks all the time, so that would happen.
Well, there's a person I know that in the United States, what they were doing was they could cross over a crack and they would actually change dimensions.
Explain.
They would walk down the street, they would put themselves into a certain state, they could cross a crack in the ground or something, or in the pavement, and they would actually be not in 2017, but in 1937. and they would look around. And
Did you hear the crickets then? Did you hear the crickets then?
Yeah, you could hear them. The 1937 crickets. And what they would do is they'd be walking around, and it would be the older style buildings, and it would be the dirt streets, and it would be horse-drawn carriages, the whole bit.
Nice.
Yeah. And then they could look around a little bit, and then they could step back and come back.
That's kind of like the butterfly effect.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen that film? Ashton Kutcher, the butterfly effect?
I haven't seen it, no.
He slides in and out of different realities. And each one that he goes to is a little bit worse than the one he left behind. But the thing is, you wouldn't know unless you were fully in tune with your surroundings. If you're one of these people that gets up, eats, sleep, rinse, repeat, you wouldn't know that you were sliding in and out of a parallel universe. Unless there was some key indication during the course of events that makes you stop and go, hang on a minute, something's not quite right here.
Well, with some people, in order for that to happen, I agree with you, but for some people, for that to happen, they need something dramatic. Otherwise, it'll just pass them by.
Well, it's like that gentleman I spoke about earlier tonight, who in one reality where he was living, he had Trump as a president, and another reality that he was sliding in and out of, where he came from originally, Hillary won the election, and he actually had a family there.
That would be interesting.
You imagine being pulled away from your family without notice.
Yeah, that's harsh.
And living 2 weeks in another reality, and then being dropped back into an alternative reality B, and missing your family that you just pulled away from.
He should write a book and put it out there and let people know what he's seeing and what's going on in both realities, because it would be very, in my opinion, I'd love reading something like that. It would be fascinating to me, just to see what was going on in both realities and which one. I would just want to know, in a comparison kind of way, which one was better, at least in the first 100 or so days. Because if it's a parallel, the first question I would ask is, all right, what year is this? I want to make sure the years matched up and everything else matched up.
I'm with you.
Just to see if it was out of sync or in sync, or what was it? Are you just stepping to the side, or are you stepping to the side and up a couple of stairs? That kind of thing.
I remember seeing a coin online recently. A gentleman had a coin from an era where this particular coin was not pressed. But he had physical proof.
Now that's interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. That's another mirror universe deal.
I'd like to see that as well.
Well, physics have proposed that a mirror universe is possible where time moves backwards.
A lot of times when it's people stepping over a crack or stepping through, it's usually backwards, what we would consider backwards. Even when I had an experience, it was 15 years previous, not 15 years forward. So it's very fascinating. And even though it was 15 years previous, that 15 years previous, that world, that civilization was more advanced than we are here.
Well, time doesn't necessarily move forwards. Time is a human conception.
Yes, it is.
You can see evidence of it in the seasons around you, and when the sun comes up and down, there's marking of time. But nothing else in this universe that I know of carries a significant marker by the second of where you are at. Now, that's created by people.
Yep.
So we've issued the concept of time moving forward, but not necessarily doesn't move forward. Yeah, you think about things like Newton's gravitation, Maxwell's electrodynamics, Einstein's special general relativity, or quantum mechanics. All these theories are all proving that time happens at the same time. The past, the present, the future, all now.
Yeah, exactly. So therefore, it's just a matter of phasing. What phase are you in? You can go.
Oh, I like that term.
That's all it is.
I like that term.
In and out of phase, and where that is, and then when you've moved, then the time component can come back in again, and you can say, well, what year is this? What time is this? What day is this? Where am I? Kind of thing.
Do I want to go kill my grandfather?
No, you don't want to do that.
Would you?
Why bother? No.
Hang on a minute.
You wouldn't even know him. How would you know? How would you know that was your grandfather? Every time they talk about this effect, this paradox. How would you know that that was that person?
Do you know what your grandfather looks like?
If you knew what your grandfather looked like, but if you went back in time, would you know? How would you know that that was the person?
You go looking for them.
So you have a picture of somebody, let's say from 1930, and they say that was your grandfather. And so all of a sudden you phase to that era, and you find that person, and you're going to want to kill him?
See, that's where I'm not quite right.
I wouldn't do that. I mean, why would I want to do something like that? I would look at him and say, well,
I'll tell you why I'd do it.
Yeah.
No, actually, you know what? I wouldn't wish the man dead.
Here's another monkey wrench for you. Suppose that was your grandfather back in 1930, but he died before you were born. So let's say you were born in 1970, and he died in 1960. So he died before you were born. You go back in time to find this person, as you say, or you phase in and you get to that period where he's alive. There's a problem. Here's the paradox. You were your grandfather, and therefore, what would you do? Because he died and then reincarnated as you.
I'd kill him.
And then you'd be killing yourself.
But
you would.
Yeah, but okay, hang on. You would be terminating his car and setting him free, which is really yourself.
Yeah, so then what would happen to you? The you that you now know.
So you're coming from the point of view that if you offed your grandfather and he was you were the reincarnation of your grandfather, and you offed your grandfather, would you therefore not phase out?
What would happen?
You'd phase out. I'm no quantum mechanic.
No, yeah, but that's the whole point. Think about it that way. Everybody goes to that grandfather paradox, and would you go back and do this and that and the other? I just say, well, how do you know it's not you?
Why is it a grandfather paradox, not a grandmother paradox?
Could be a grandmother paradox. It could be anybody's. It doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter remains, that could be the case. There was a guy I used to work with on the American Stock Exchange floor, and he showed me a picture of his grandfather, and I will tell you, he might as well have been showing me a picture of himself.
What if you impregnated your grandmother?
What, are you kidding?
Where'd
that come from?
We'll be back after this break. Beyond 333D. Welcome back tonight to Beyond 3D. Matt was getting a bit freaky then.
Yeah, wait to tell you that. No.
Something else?
Yeah. Oh, I gotta clean that up. Get that thought out of your head.
It's a paradox.
Yeah, God help you. But then again, if you went back and you were your grandfather, you would anyway, doing your grandmother anyway.
Well, that was the next level of the conversation, Matt. That's the next logical point. If you were your own reincarnation of your grandfather and you impregnated your grandmother.
Oh, well, let's leave that alone. Anyway.
Cassini?
Anyway. Ooh, Saturn.
Hello.
Yes. Interesting. They're getting ready to plunge Cassini into that big, lovely planet called Saturn. And hopefully the information that it will send back before its death spiral will be awe-inspiring for all of us here on planet Oith. And we can truly learn what's actually going on out there. I am of the mind that at one point in time, life existed on every single planet in this solar system. That's what I believe.
It's kind of egocentric in this day and age to promote ourselves as the first.
We're not. Come on. They can't even figure out the pyramids. Real.
No.
Come on. They're coming up with all these different theories. Graham Hancock, all these guys are this, they did this, it did that, it was in this quarry, it was this. So they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're 10,000 years off minimum when it comes to this kind of stuff. We were not the first. We won't be the last. That is why, as you were about to mention,
was I?
Star Trek's own...
I was not about to mention Star Trek on any reality whatsoever.
No, I was about to mention a person that was in an episode of Star Trek that you were talking about earlier.
Which kind of Star Trek?
The next generation.
I knew you'd go there.
With data.
Was that show
and they were playing cards?
Was that show, or is that show not one of those shows where you watch the old episodes and it's like Easter egg hunting for celebrities that make guest appearances?
Speaking of Easter egg hunts, this is important. Very important, because I got to see...
We're segueing here.
Yes, it was a segue. Being that this past Thursday was May the 4th, as in May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you too, Matt.
Indeed. And I saw for the first time, because I hadn't seen it before, I saw Rogue One.
Hang on a second.
Thank you. Easter eggs galore.
Oh, yeah.
I was going,
Oh, I know. Hang on. What about this one?
He doesn't like you.
What about that one?
I saw that and I was just, I knew them all. I was absolutely taken. To me, out of all the Star Wars movies, that was the best.
Who was, in Rogue One, your favourite character? Pick one. Pick two. I'll give you two.
Well, my favorite character, I'm trying to think. There was so many that I liked. The robot.
K2SO?
Yes.
Yeah, he was very dry.
Yeah.
Very, very dry.
Very, very good. Who's his boss?
I think it's Cassian Andor.
Andor. He was very good.
Yeah, he was very cool.
Very good character. I just thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
You know who my absolute favourite was?
Who?
The blind monk.
Fantastic, both of them.
Yeah, the blind
one and his buddy.
Both of them were Force monks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was just brilliant as well. But the thing that really struck me about the movie, and even the guys that we were all together, we saw it, everybody said the same thing who hadn't seen it before, how it didn't win the Academy Award for cinematography is beyond me.
Yeah, that's politics again, though.
I was absolutely enthralled with Jeddah and the Death Star parked directly above it. I'm looking at that going, what the?
I tell you what I liked? Scarif.
Beautiful.
Was that not just drop dead gorgeous?
I was looking at this going like, wow,
yeah.
This is amazing. What great work. And the other thing that was really good about it was you didn't have to worry about who would survive because everybody dies. Now, if you haven't seen the thing
I was just about to just spoil it because it's still on sale somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Many places.
In this world, what we do, if you haven't seen it yet and you were like me, yeah, wait a minute. But I thought, in my opinion, when you look at that which you would call Star Wars 3.5, and then go into Star Wars 4 and you look at the way the sets were done, and then you look at the original movie and you look at the costumes in the original movie, you just go 40 years difference,
and
just about.
Just slotted it straight in.
And they just slotted it straight in. Yeah. That was absolutely wonderful. Loved it. And the way they could do Tarkin.
Okay.
They did a good job.
Okay. They did a great job. Mm-hmm. The problem with it will be, give it another 10 years, you'll look at it and you'll go, oh, that looks so hokey.
Yeah, well, it's looking good now.
It looks great now. It looks great. Leia looked fantastic.
Indeed. And we just got to compare the two movies and go, well, look at that. Look, really well done.
Yep.
I mean, really well done. I was pleasantly surprised. And it beat all the Star Trek movies. It beat all that kind of stuff because I've watched most of them, if not all of them. I just thoroughly enjoyed myself, and that was a really good thing. And hopefully the Han Solo series will not be a dud. I hope they can do it some justice.
Donald Glover's in that, and he's a rockin' artist at the moment. He's got heaps going on with film, TV, and music, so I don't really think he's going to sign himself up for a role.
I'm hoping,
unless it's good,
if they can come even 75% close to what they did with, in my opinion, with Rogue One, it will be
awesome.
Worth it. It'll be fantastic. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do with that. And now, in my opinion, that really, really raises the bar for Episode 8.
Oh, look, it's just unlocked the gate for a flood of awesome new cool Star Wars films coming through.
I think so. And I think it's worth it. Just love the franchise, love the series, and I can appreciate what Lucas did. But
I'm glad he's not driving the Star Wars train anymore.
He would not have done that movie, Rogue One, in my opinion. He would not have done it justice.
When Disney bought Star Wars and LucasArts, Lucasfilm, that was the birth of all these new films coming through.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's very important that everybody realizes that and can appreciate the potential of it all. So that is my soliloquy this week for Star Wars. I was thoroughly enthralled and thought it was just absolutely fantastic. And if you have not seen Rogue One yet, get it. It is worth it. And the beauty of it is, and I'll leave it at this, is if you have never seen any of the other Star Wars movies, you could not pick a better movie to start with.
Guess what I did last week?
What'd you do?
One of my friends, and it's his 40th tonight, so I'll say happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, BT.
Indeed.
He'd never seen a Star Wars film before, ever. At the age of 40, never saw a Star Wars film.
Wow.
I sat him down with Rogue One the other day.
Yep.
I thought about it. It's like, where do you start? Do you go to episode 4? Do you go to episode 1? And I just went, you know what, let's just start with Rogue One, and then slide into episode 4, A New Hope, and go forwards to episode 6, and then jump to 1, 2, 3, and then go to episode 7. Yeah.
You liked it?
Happy birthday, mate. Yeah, he loved it.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, excellent. That's the way you want to hear it. That's what you want to see. Good movies, good quality movies, not schlock. We're tired of schlock. And we're tired of reality TV.
And I'm tired of having to take a break, but we need to.
Oh, well. Back in a minute.
Beyond.
3.
Or a joke. Maybe it has. Part of a grand conspiracy. I'm not aware of any plans the president has to make public any information about this, but
does he feel he's gotten to the bottom of it?
Well, I know that he has joked publicly before about one of the benefits of the presidency is having access to that information. I don't know whether or not he has availed himself of that opportunity.
Now, none of this was easy. There were some tough years in there. You had fiscal showdowns and government shutdowns and pandemics and oil spills and pirates. Y'all remember the pirates? I mean, the only thing we haven't had to deal with is like the asteroid, or the aliens. That's true. Good point. Shouldn't have mentioned the aliens.
Welcome back to Beyond 3D. We're in the home stretch, guys. Thanks for hanging in there with us. And don't forget Facebook page, Clint.
Beyond, the number 3, the hyphen, and the letter D.
Indeed. A lot of things we put up there, a lot of photographs, a lot of links to a lot of the things that we talk to you about on the show as well.
I'd actually go as far as saying that we probably post more information on our Facebook page than anything that we talk about in here on a Saturday night.
Because all of a sudden we see something during the week and we just go, ooh, bang, onto
and in
Facebook.
fact, many times when we've done that on Facebook, we've been, what would you say, 2 days ahead of mainstream media?
Easily. In fact,
that makes me laugh when I see stuff on mainstream media and I go, hey,
you did that this week, actually.
You snooze, guys, you lose.
You did that this week, actually.
I did.
Speaking of which, there's a lot of... We haven't gone too much into ufology this week, so I think we can end with something that happened over France, and it was one of the nicest UFO shows, for lack of a better term, that has been filmed in quite a long time. And so we will put the link to it up on the Facebook page so you could look at the video itself. It was also seen in parts of Australia, and it was also seen around the world in the United States. Now, when you look at this film, you will see 4 different objects.
Can you link it on our Facebook page
I will definitely link it on the Facebook page so everybody can take a look. But there are 4 main objects in this, and one of them is blinking in and out, running around like, the little crazy Chihuahua dog that has nothing better to do except when they're really hyper.
We're talking about a light in the sky.
Yes, we are. And the other one, there is a main so-called mothership there that is lit up, that it reminds me of if you're in the dark in your house and you're running a vacuum cleaner that has the light on it in the front and the little lights along the bottom so you can see what you're doing. And this thing is sitting in the sky at about, it would be at if you're looking at a compass, it would be sitting at about 340 to 350 degrees northwest. and that would be down at about 70 or 80 degrees to the southeast. And it's a very, very large object. It is lit up, and all of a sudden, at the bottom of it, you will start to see it send out beams of light, almost as if you were in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, looking at...
I've looked at it.
Yeah.
I've looked at it and looked at it. It is not CGI.
There you go. The first thing I was going to ask you was...
It's not CGI.
Yeah, and so it's fascinating to see this, and you get it from different angles. And it is really worth your time.
Tyler.
Take a look at it.
Tyler from Secure Team...
Tyler from Secure Team 10 on YouTube put it up there, and he got it from Paris. It was sent to him anonymously, and he doesn't know what part of France the main video was taken in, but there are also still shots from around the world looking at this thing, and the still shots coming in from around the world verify, at least by my eyes, that it's the same object. Fascinating to look at. The light show this thing puts on is absolutely exquisite. It is worth your while. Take your time, sit down, look at the videos, and then make an educated decision based upon what you've seen, whether or not you believe this is the beginning, as some people say, of contact, public contact and disclosure.
Public.
Yeah. It's fascinating to look at when you see these things, because a lot of times what we see are dots in the sky, which is why I really like Pete Slattery's work, because he zooms in and you can actually see.
And I think, applaud Pete. Pete, you did wonderful this week. He's been posting some awesome stuff.
Yeah, and you can see that it is not just a dot in the sky. There is structure. And with this video, there is structure. And you need to really take a look at this. It is really fascinating. I've been harping on it now for a couple of minutes, but look at this, guys. See what you think of it, and let us know what you think by just commenting under the video on our Facebook page, and that way we can recognize you as well and give you a shout out over the air.
And can I just ask everybody this week, turn off your television, go outside.
Yeah.
Have a look up in the heavens.
I saw I have to think of where it was, but I saw one of the most fascinating rainbows I have ever seen in life. And what I'm going to do, I can't remember all of it. After the show, I'm putting it up on the Facebook page. You guys can take a look at this and just you tell me what you think. I have never seen anything like this. It's almost as if a rainbow couldn't make it down to the ground, so it came back in on itself and formed a bubble above the clouds. It was absolutely
Is that even
fascinating.
possible?
Yeah, it was weird.
Well, actually, it had to be possible because you saw it.
It was there, and a woman, I believe it was in the Philippines. A woman actually filmed this, so I'm going to put that up on the Facebook page as well. You guys really need to see that. I was amazed looking. I had never seen anything like that before. So there are guys out there that are using YouTube. There are guys out there using Vimeo that are trying to give you information that can really help you. When we find it, we will happily share their information and give them cred for it, because they deserve that, because they did the research and they did all the work. So
Well,
that's what we do.
Well done, Matt. Put your feet up, take a breath.
We'll do.
That's all we've got time for tonight.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight.
We will catch you next week with another edition of Beyond 3D, and definitely you want to listen in May, because there's some interesting stuff coming up.
Or we teased that last week.
We did. Well, we're not going to tease it this week, but you need to listen. Be very good to yourselves, and we will catch you next week with another edition, so take care.
Good night, everybody. Just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.